programming and stuff like that. The three operators are like symbols that help you perform specific what functions or perform specific tasks. Okay, do certain stuff. Now, when it comes to Excel, an operator tells a formula. Okay, when you write the formula, one is A1 plus B1 plus C1 divided by whatever. The symbols you are using there, the plus, minus, division, those ones are what we call operators. Now they tell the formula what to do or the action to perform, the operations to perform. Now has um, Excel uses what? Four different types of what? Calculation operators. Okay. Now we have the arithmetic operators, which is the one you guys have been using often, which is plus, minus, division, addition, subtraction, right? Then we have the comparison, which sometimes is referred to as relational operators, right? The ones we use to do comparison between stuff. For example, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, those kind of stuff. Okay. Then we have the text concatenation, right? Who can remember the symbol that is used for text concatenation? Anybody? The symbol used for text concatenation. Anyone here that remembers the symbol we use for text concatenation? Ampersand, yeah. Great. Then we have reference. Okay, that is where we do cell referencing ranges and stuff like that. These are the following that you see when we talk about arithmetic operators. Now, arithmetic operators, these are operators that are used to perform basic mathematical calculations. Okay, so mathematical operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, right? ECT to produce what numerical results. Usually, mathematical operators or arithmetic operators would result in what numerical results. Okay, so adding numbers, subtracting numbers would usually end up giving you what a number. Okay. Now the following are the operators that can be used in mathematical expressions. Okay. So we have the addition or the plus sign, which is used to add two things. We have the minus sign, which is used to subtract things. We have asterisk, right? The asterisk is used for multiplication. So the one you guys say times, right? So you use the asterisk, which is the star on your computer or on your phone to do multiplication. Now division is forward slash, okay? Forward slash is used for division. When it comes to percentages, we use the percentage sign. Then when it comes to exponents, we use caret. Okay. So the one you see that looks like a V that is a little bit small and up is what we call caret. That's used for exponentiation. Okay. So for example, if you want to do 4 raised to the power of 3, then you use caret. If you want to do 6 times 6 times 6, that's 6 to the power of what? 3. So you do a 6 raised to the power of what? 3. Okay. So 6 caret 3. All right. Any questions before we move on? Does anyone have a question? No questions? Just question, raise your hand, or you can drop it in the chat. Okay. All right. Now we spoke about arithmetic operators. Now we're talking about comparison operators. When you hear comparison, it tells you something. We are going to show some kind of what relation in terms of maybe how uh, much power someone has when we are comparing things, right? So when you hear comparison operators, we simply mean what operators that would help us what find a relationship to compare certain stuff. Okay. Now when we compare things, it's either the things result in true or false. Okay. So if I'm comparing two people in terms of height, if I say maybe Rita is taller than Gabriela, right? I'm simply saying that in my opinion, Rita is taller than Gabriela. But how can I know that until I verify that, right? So when I have their heights and I verify, it's either my perception becomes true or it's what? It's false, right? So that is when we use what? Comparison operators. So when you want to compare certain stuff so that it results in a true or false statement, for you to be able to verify, that is when we use comparison operators. Now, these are operators that make it possible for you to compare two values. So, for example, you saw a value in cell A1 and saw another value in cell B1, and you want to see which of them is bigger, which are they equal, or is one smaller than the other, or is one smaller or equal to the other. That is where we use comparison operators. Okay. Now, when two values are compared, the result is always in what? It's always a logical value, right? And then the logical value we are talking about is either true or false, right? Now, the comparison operators that we actually see most of the times are the ones on the screen. We have the equal to sign that is used to show equality between two values. Greater than sign that says that the first value that we are talking about, the one at the left hand side, is greater than the one on the right hand side, right? So the way we are looking at it, we are simply saying that we assume that the value in cell A4 is greater than the value in cell what? C4 and C5. Okay. Then less than, which we mean that the value to the left of the one, the operator, that's what 4 A4 is less than the value B what? B8. Okay. So when we if we had values inside cells and we were comparing them, then we'll either get true or false. Then we have greater than or equal to, which says that this particular value we are looking at in cell A3 is either greater or equal to the value that we are looking at in cell what? B4. Okay, that's what we are talking about. Then when we look at less than or equal to means that the value that we see first, which is cell, the value in cell A4 is less than or equal to the value in what cell what C1. Okay. Then we have not equal to, which says that the value in cell A4 is not equal to the value in cell what B1. So if the values are not equal, we get what? True. But when they are equal, we get what? False. Okay. All right. Okay. Now concatenation. Text concatenation. Text concatenation simply means what? Bringing things together. But before we read this, let's just do some examples of the operators that we've already seen. Okay. So that we have a glimpse of it. Then we do text concatenation. All right. So let's take this Excel that we have here. For example, let's say we have a value like 12. Then we have 23. Then we have 33 here, right? Then tab to the other side. Let me say, all right. Now, if we come here and we want to do, let's say we are doing arithmetic operators here. So, arithmetic operators in this column, right? So, for example, what we simply mean is that we can do what? A value is what? A1 and maybe B1, A2 plus a value is maybe let's say B1, right? And that will give us something like 65, 66. Then we can also do what? Another operator. Let's say we want to do raised to the power. So let's say the value is A1 to the power. So we do what? Carry, okay? To the power of what? Let's say 2. So 12 times 12 will give us what? 144, okay? So that's the power, the carry, okay? Then we can do the other ones, the forward slash, backslash, and things like that, okay? Now, when we come to the other one we look at, which is a comparison. So let's say compare, right? Then we have greater than or equal to, right? So let's see if the value in cell 1, in this particular cell, okay? So is the value in cell A1, I'll put it in brackets, okay? Okay, is the value in cell A1 greater than the value in cell what? B1. What would this be? Is the value in cell A1 greater than the value in cell B1? You can drop your answer in the chat. Is the value in cell A1 greater than the value in cell B1? So what do you think the answer would be for the equation I've written? Anyone wants to give it a try? Hello? I want to give it a try. Okay. All right. So the value is A1 Is it greater than the value in cell B1? So we can see that in cell A1 we have 12, and in cell B1 we have 47. So it's the value here, which is 12, is it greater than the value that we have here, which is usually what? Not true. So it's not true. So because of that, we are getting what? This. Now, if we decide to do it the opposite way around, where we say is the value in cell A1 less than the value in cell what? B1. In that case, we get what? True. Okay. We can also do is the value in cell A1 equal to the value in cell B1. In that case, they are not equal, so we get false. We can also do greater than or equal to. So you have seen all of them on the what? The slide, so you can try them out. Okay. All right. So let's continue to talk about concatenation. Now, concatenation is very important when it comes to you wanting to combine text or characters or numbers and characters together so that you can print out something beautiful. Okay. Maybe you have your age, you have your name, and then you want to print something like, "Hello, I am this, my name is this, and I'm this years old." You can't just combine them like that in Excel. So you can put them, maybe you have a column where you have your names, and then you have a column that you have your age, but you have to create a sentence on another column. Now, when you want to create a sentence on another column, then you can use concatenation to do that kind of what combination, right? So there is only one text concatenation what operator, and this is what the ampersand, okay, sign, which is used to join or concatenate one or more text what strings to produce a single piece of what text. That's what we mean by concatenation. Concatenation simply means joining to create one. Okay. Now the carried concatenates two strings to produce a single string. For example, if we have a string like CSM and we have another string like 185 or 183, then when we put the caret sign between them, then we'll get what? CSM 183. Okay, so let's just demonstrate that in the. So let's say we have here CSM, and then here we have 183. Now remember, this is a number. This is a what? What? A string. So let's say we want to produce something out here. Okay, so we can do the value here, and we can see this. So you can see what I did. This is the formula. I said what? I want the value is C16, and I want to concatenate it with using the ampersand sign with the value in what? So what? C what? 17. B17. So B16, B17. And that gives me what? CSM 18 what? 3. Okay? Alright. Great. Any questions on this before I move forward? Any questions on the text concatenation? Any questions? Questions? Any confusion? Alright. No questions. That's good to know. Okay. Now reference operators. Okay. Now these operators make it possible to combine cells or range of cells for calculation. Okay. Now there are three reference operators that we would be looking at. The first one is a column that is used to show what the range. It's usually the range operator. So if you remember, anytime we want to cover a range of what the cells that we have in our Excel sheet, we usually do what the first cell that we want, and then we do column, then the last cell name to cover the range. Okay, so the column is used for what? Range. Okay, and it's called a range operator, which means which literally means two. Okay, the literal meaning of the column operator in Excel means what? Two. So from cell A10 to cell what? G40. okay, which is used to produce a range of all the cells within that particular two cell references, okay, and it includes the cells that you use as well. All right. Now we have a comma. Now, if you remember, when we were doing sum, anytime we write a cell reference, we separate it. Anytime we write another cell reference, we separate it. We write another cell reference, we separate it. Okay. Now the comma is known as the union operator. Okay, which literally means that and. So we want to sum the value in cell A1 and the value in cell B1 and the value in cell C1 and the value in what cell A2 and the value in cell B2. That's just what the comma means. Okay, so if you're using a function such as sum, so equal to sum, and then you are like A1 comma B1 comma C1, then you are saying what, I want to add the value in cell A1 and the value in cell B1 and the value in cell C1 together as one. Are you getting it? So here we have an example where we are saying max. We want to find the max between these values. The value is cell what? B15, and the value in the range of cells B19 to what? G what? 15. We want to get what? The maximum value in that. Okay, that's what it means. All right. Then we have the space, which is also known as what? The intersection what? Operator. Okay. All right. Now the intersection operator produces one reference to the cell that is what common to what both cells. Okay. So when we have two ranges, all right, we have cells of two different ranges, and then we use the space in between them. We are trying to find the intersection that exists between them. Okay, so if there's no intersection between them, then we get a null in return. But if there's an intersection, then we get a value. So for example, if you look at the range C10 to D17, and then the range from C6 to what? C18, are there any particular cells that come between these two? If you look carefully, you see that we have cells from what? C10 to C what? 17 being common to the two of them. So since that is being common, then that particular cell range, which is from C10 to C17, will be returned. Okay, that's what the intersection operator is used for. Any further questions or any questions before we talk about order of evaluation? Any questions? Any questions? If you have questions, you can raise your hand and ask. You can unmute and ask. Any questions? No questions. Okay, that's great. All right. Now, if there are no questions, then let's continue. Now, order of evaluation simply means what? We giving precedence to individual operators. Now we have all these operators, mathematical operators or arithmetic operators. We have comparison operators. We have concatenation operators. We have what? Reference operators. Now, all these operators are doing something. But how do I know which one should I use when it comes to using them when they are combined, right? So to be able to know which ones I should use when I'm using them combined, we have what we call the order of evaluation. The order of evaluation simply means that we are going to assign some kind of precedence, some kind of what priority to the various operators that we have, such that when we see a lot of them in a formula, we know that okay, in this formula, these ones are supposed to be executed before these ones. Okay, so for example, if we have addition, multiplication, division, subtraction, and all those stuff, you already know something like board maths. Okay. Now, the order of precedence is something similar to board maths. These guys should be executed first. So bracket first. What? Oh boy. Okay, so and then there's another one like pad mass and all those things. Now the order of evaluation is something similar to that. Okay, so if there are two or more operators, okay, in your formula, if you write two or more operators in your formula, like we have multiplication, we have division, and we have addition, right? If you have them like that, you can't just start doing the addition or the operation in any particular way, right? So Excel uses what we call order of evaluation, which is what? The order in which we want the operation to be what? executed. Okay, so we will say what? Moving from left to right of that particular formula. So if you write a formula like A1 plus B1 times C1, moving from left to right, which is from the A1 to the C1, we will look for certain what operators. When we see those operators, then we give them the higher precedence. So for example, when we are looking at the mathematical operators, this is the order in which we will consider them. Okay, when we are doing negation, like we want to make something negative, then we will consider the negation first, which is a minus. Aside that, then what follows is what? Percentage, then followed by exponents, then followed by multiplication and division, then followed by addition, and then what? Subtraction. Okay. So when you have an expression that contains all this, what you do is what? To first look, do I have something that is meant for negation? Not something that is meant for what? Minus, subtraction, but something that is meant for negation. We know what we mean by negation. It's a negative number, right? If we have that, then we execute that first. After executing the negative, then we look for what? Percentage. If percentage is there, then we do that. When we are done with that, we go to what? Exponent. From exponent to multiplication and division. From multiplication and division to what? Addition and subtraction. Now, to change the order of precedence, the best way to do that is to put it in brackets. Just like in board mass, we always say what brackets, but inside the brackets, we would have something like maybe 1 plus 2 or x plus 5, right? So when we have a situation like that, then we have what? Okay, we want to operate on these ones first, then we what? Put those ones what? In brackets. Okay. Now, those that we put in brackets will be the ones to be executed first. So meaning the brackets is giving the higher precedence compared to the other ones. Okay. All right. Now let's see if we can get some examples. All right. So for example, this particular formula that we have up here, 6 plus 27 divided by what? 3. We know that when we take the order of precedence, we have what? Negation, percentage, exponents, multiplication and division, subtraction, and what? Addition, right? So when we look at this, we see that we have 6 plus what? 27 divided by 3. Which of these come first in the order of precedence? Okay, so looking at this, we know that from our order of precedence, we know that division comes before what? Addition. So that means that the part that has division has to be executed first. So we have the first term, which is what? Of that particular operator, which is what? 27. And then the term after the operator, which is division, is what? 3. So 27 divided by 3 will give us what? 9. Right? And then that 9 is what we will now add to the operator. So we now have what? The value that has come from the first operation by precedence, which is 9. Now we have 6 plus 9. 6 plus 9 will give us what? 15. And that's why we are getting 15. But with the last part that we saw here, which says what? When you want to what? Change the order of operation, then you use what? Parentheses. Okay. So you can see that here they put the 6 plus 27 in brackets. Now, because 6 plus 27 is in brackets, the division doesn't take precedence at this particular point. Okay, so that means that if the division is not taking precedence first, we say what? When we put it in brackets, the brackets take precedence first. So that means that 6 plus what? 27 would be the one to be what? Taking first. So 6 plus 27 will give us what? 33. Then 33 divided by what? 3 will give us what? 11. All right. Can see your screen. Please leave and join again. If you leave and join again, it should show. Okay. All right.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, please, are you showing the worksheet? Because it's not showing over here, it's only showing the slides.
Yeah, I'm just reading from the slides. I'm not doing the
Okay.
yeah. Okay. So let's talk more about the operator precedence and then we'll do a few examples on that. Okay. All right. Now, operator precedence. If you use a number of operators in a single formula, Excel performs the operations in order shown in what? The following table. We'll be seeing the table after this. As such, A single formula where the exponentiation and multiplication are used. Exponentiation will be given precedence, will be evaluated first because it comes first in the table. So if you look at the table, this is the table. So from the top down, that is the precedence. And if you look at the top down, when we have exponentiation, that comes before what? Multiplication and division. So if we have these in the same expression, the exponent will be what? Executed first. Okay. If a formula contains operators with the same precedence, such as multiplication and division, which is what we saw on the table, then Excel will evaluate them from left to right. Okay, it will say that, oh, because you guys are of the same level, there's no specific ones when they are of the same level. It will just start executing them from left to right. Okay, all right. So this is the table. Now, what you should know is that anytime you write a formula, the formula starts from left to right, right? And you would what? Execute it from left to right. Now, when you're executing it from left to right, what Excel is saying is that we have what we call operator precedence, which is what we are seeing on the board. First off, the first set of operators you should check for are the what? Reference operators. Column, single space, and then what? Comma. These ones will give you certain information like, okay, we are adding a range of values. We are getting the intersection of some values before we use them to do the operation. Or we are just saying that, okay, A, this range, and then that range and that range. That's what we are going to use for the operation. Now, when you know that the ones are there and you finish executing them, then you will not refer to them anymore. But if you haven't executed them, you have to execute them first. Now, after executing the reference operators, you move to the next one, which is negation. Now, negation is different from subtraction. Negation means that you are making the number or the value what? Negative. So, for example, if I want to add, let's say, cell A1 and then cell B1, the values in them. But I know that I want cell A1's values to be negative. Then I can say what? Equal to negation of what? Cell A1, which is minus A1, plus B1. Okay, that's what we mean by negation. So you can see that in that case, we have two operators that are even close to each other, negative and then what? Equal to. Okay. Then after negation, we have percentage. Now, percentage, we all know what percentage does, right? A percentage of what? Out of a whole. Okay. Now we have what? After percentage, exponentiation will take place. After exponentiation, then we can go to what? Multiplication and division. So please keep this order in mind, okay? Then after multiplication and division, then we can have what? Addition and subtraction. Then once we are done with addition and subtraction, we can have what? Concatenation come into play, which has to do with combining text. Then after concatenation, we now have what? Our comparison operators, which is what? Greater than, less than, equal to, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to, or not equal to. Okay. So that is the whole operator precedence something or order of evaluation, which is what we are seeing on the board. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, just give me a minute. I'm coming. All right. Okay. Rules govern. Okay. Let's finish reading this and then do some examples. Then from there, if our time is not up, then we do cell, naming cells and cell ranges. Okay. All right. Hmm. Okay. All right. Okay. So rules governing what? The evaluation of our operators. There are basically three rules concerning the evaluation of mathematical or arithmetic operators in what? Many mathematical expressions or formulas. These rules are as follows. The first rule of all is what? For any two operators with different precedence in the same formula. So when you write a formula and we have two operators of what? Different what? Precedence. When we say different precedence, like order in terms of the table we just saw. Okay. The operator with the higher precedence, which is the one that is up. So for example, exponentiation is up to what? It's higher than what? Division, multiplication, subtraction, addition, and what? That stuff like that. So when we have operators, two operators in the same formula, right? But they have different precedence. The one with higher precedence is the one that is executed first. So when we have multiplication and then exponent will be executed first. So for example, Let's say we have this that we have here, this expression equal to 8 divided by 2 raised to the power 3, right? Now, when we look at this, we have two operators in there. We have multiplication, division, and then we have what? Exponent. Now, this division that we have over there is not higher in precedence than what? Exponent. So because it's not higher in precedence than exponent, that means that exponents will be given precedence in terms of operating. So that means that we will be doing what? 2 raised to the power 3 first before we can come to what? The division. So when we do 2 raised to the power 3, we will get what? 8. So 8 divided by 8 will give us what? 1. So the operator, which is what? Exponent, will be evaluated first because it has higher precedence. That is the 2 raised to the power 3, and hence the above expression would be what? Give us the results what? 1 instead of what? 64, as you what? Might have thought if we were going to do what? 8 divided by 2 first. Okay. Any questions before I move to the second rule? Any questions? Any questions? If there are no questions, I should assume everyone is okay, right? Yes.
Sir, please, I have one question.
All
Sir,
right.
please, order of evaluation,
Yeah.
those symbols given. When we are given a question like that in exam, are we to arrange it in the orderly form or we can just arrange it anyhow?
Good. So when it's given to you, you don't need to rearrange it. You are supposed to look for the operators. So if you are given something like this one that we have here, you will say, well, okay, based on my order of precedence, I know that I have the reference operators, which is the range, that's two, the comma, and then what space, right? Then I have after that I have what? Negation. And after negation, I have what? Percentage. After percentage, I have what? Exponential, right? Then after exponential, I have what? Multiplication and division. And after multiplication and division, I have what? Addition and subtraction, right? And after that, I have what? Concatenation, and then I now have what? The comparison operators. Okay. Now, when you know this is the form, what you will do is what? You move from left to right of the expression. Moving from left to right, which of the operator do I have the reference operators? If I don't have them, then I don't need to consider them. Then I go, do I have percentage? If there's percentage, then I execute percentage. Okay. If there's no percentage, then what? I move to the next one in precedence. That is what? Exponent. Is there exponent? So when we check what we have, this expression we have currently, we have exponent, right? Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So we will do the two values that are close to the exponent. So in this case, that is 2 and then what? 3. So 2 exponent 3 will give us what? 8. I get it. Then when you are done with the exponent part, if there are still other exponents in it, you would have to execute all of them. Then when you are done with all of them, then you can now go to the next level. The next level that you have is what? Multiplication and then what? Division. So if you have multiplication and division, starting from left to right, you start executing those ones too as well. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So in that case, now that we are done with exponents, you move to what? Division. So 8 divided by 2. If there were still others in there, then you do that. If we still had other lower precedent operators after the division, then we will now consider the lower precedent operators. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Great. So we would do some examples around that. All right. So let's continue to the second rule now. For any two operators of the same precedence, that is when we look at the table, if two operators are at the same level, right, they are of the same precedence, they have the same priority. The order of operation should be left to right. Okay. So, like I was saying, whenever you're giving the expression, you look for the what? Operators. So, the first operator of high precedence, do I have any of them? No. If I have any of them, then I can check how many of them do I have. If it's only one, then I just operate that one. But if I have more than one, the second rule is saying that if you have more than one of those operators that are of the same precedence, then start from left to right. So in this case, if you have something like 10 divided by 5 multiplied by 2, we all know that division and multiplication are of the same precedence, right? But to be able to handle this, we need to do what? Move from left to right. So you were moving from left to right. The two operators that are of the same precedence, which one comes before the other? So in this case, we have what? 10 divided by 5 and then multiply by what? 2. But we know moving from left to right, division comes before multiplication. So that means that we'll be doing what? 10 divided by what? 5 first, then multiply by 2. So 10 divided by 5 will give us 2. 2 multiplied by 2 will give us what? 4. This clear?
Yes.
Okay, great. So that's the second rule. Now the third rule, no matter how higher the precedence of any particular operator we have in our what? Our expression, as long as there's a particular operator that has been placed with some operands in what? A bracket, we will give the what? Precedence to the brackets. Okay, just like in board mass, you say a bracket first, right? So parentheses can be used to enforce a change in the order of precedence. The moment we bring in parentheses, which is brackets, we change the order, right? We are saying that whatever is in the parentheses, execute that first, right? So an operator in what? The brackets, for example, would be what? Evaluated before other operators that are not inside the brackets, even if they are of the same what? Precedence. So, for example, with what we had earlier, let's say we were doing the same 10 divided by 5 multiplied by 2. But we agree that we want to first get the multiplication to be done first instead of doing the what? Division first. So we put it in brackets. So when we put it in brackets, we have what? 5 times 2, and then we have what? 10 divided by into brackets 5 times 2. But since 5 times 2 is in brackets, that means that will be executed first. So that will give us what? 10. And 10 divided by 10 will give us what? 1. Please, is this clear?
Yes, please. It's clear.
Okay, great. All right. So before we go to creating names and stuff like that, let's just do some examples. Okay. Let's do some examples in the sheet. So Control A. Give me a minute. I'm coming. Okay, so let's put in some numbers here. Okay. All right, 22, 33. Let me make them small numbers so that we can easily identify. Okay, so I want you guys to try this out. Okay, when you are done, you can unmute and mention your answer, or you can drop it in the chat. So based on whatever we've explained, I'm going to write an expression here, and then I want you guys to evaluate it. Okay. So let's say we have so A1. Ex- this is not a good choice. I don't want that one. What am I doing? All right. What do you think the answer would be for this? Okay. So we have equal to A1 carried A2 plus B2 divided by A2. What would you think the answer would be? Anyone wants to try? If you want to, you can raise your hand and then answer, or you can drop it in the chat. Okay. Everyone should try it. So I expect to get at least 10 response from you guys. If I don't get up to 10 response, then I think you guys understand everything. So we will not have to explain again and then we move forward. Right? Okay. So everyone should try it and then let me get your response. It doesn't matter. Everyone is learning. So look through the equation based on whatever we've explained and then try it out. Okay. Hello. I still haven't received any answers. Should I take it that everyone understands? I said everyone should try it, okay, and drop your answer. It doesn't matter. Evaluate it based on what we've learned so far and drop your answer. All right. If I don't get up to 10 response, it means that everyone gets it, so we can just continue, right? All right. Okay. So for those that tried, yes, your answers are correct. So the same way you evaluated it, use that same way whenever you are about to evaluate an expression. Okay. So you guys should try another one. That's a good job. 11. All right. So try another one. Hmm, okay, so you guys should try this out and let's see. Oh no, let's see. So you can try this out and let's see what you get. Okay. So just a few minutes. Try it out and evaluate it and let's see what you get. All right. All right. Great, great work, great work, great work, great work. That means you understand what's going on. Okay, so I'll just explain this one and then we'll move to naming cells. We have like um 10 minutes to go, right? Okay. So like I said, we have reference operators coming first based on the table that we had. Then after reference operators, we have negation. And after negation, we have percentage. Then after percentage, we have what? Exponents. And after exponents, we have multiplication and division. And after multiplication and division, we have what? Subtraction and what? Addition. Then we have concatenation, which is what? The asterisk, the ampersand. Then we have the what? Comparison operators. Now looking at this expression, we say what? A1 exponent bracket open A5 plus B2 bracket close divided by what? A2. Now, when you look at this, if you have something like this, you don't just assume they are using the cells like that. Get the values that are in the cells first. So, for example, A1 has a value of what? 2. So, you write 2 caret, which is what? Exponent, bracket open, A what? A5, that's 6, plus B2. B2 is what? 9, bracket close, divided by what? A2. A2 is what? 3. Now you have your expression, but based on the rules, they say what? Bracket first. Bracket gives precedence to whatever is inside it. So in this case, in the bracket, we have what? 6 plus 9. So 6 plus 9 will give us what? 15, right? But outside the bracket, we have exponents of 2, which is close to what? 2 exponent, which is close to what? 15. And after which we have division of what? 3. Now, when we get that, what happens is that we say what? Okay, so now, this particular expression that we have now, okay, let's say we have what? 2 carries bracket open 6 plus what? 9 bracket close divided by what? 3. Now when we have this, oh, when we have this, what we are saying is that the bracket should be executed first. That means that now we would have what? 2 carries. The bracket, that's 6 plus 9, will give us what? 15. Then divided by what? 3. This is what we would have simplified it to. Now, based on this, which of these operators take precedence? Anyone wants to try? Which of the two takes precedence? Between exponent and then division, which one takes precedence? Anyone wants to take? Just drop your answer in the chat. Between exponent and division, which one takes precedence? Hello? Alright, so if you check on the table, between these two, exponent takes precedence, okay? So if exponent takes precedence, that means 2 raised to the power of what? 15, right? So 2 raised to the power of 15 will give us 32,768, okay? So that divided by 3. Now, when we put equal to sign in front of that, that should give us the value we got earlier. So we put equal to sign here, and hit enter, then we have the same value as we have.